what has happened and what's going on. I'm sure you're all here because you know that the roof collapsed on August 26th. We have been working very hard with fundraising and trying to get a crane company to come in because we are unable to get a roof put on until the spring because of COVID. All the contractors in the area are behind on all their work, and the materials aren't really available anyway at this time. So we have to prepare the building for winter. We have 2 freestanding walls. We have our stage house that is open right now, and the balcony and lobby area, and all of it is in sturdy condition. The only thing we worry about really are the 2 walls on either side that are freestanding, because with winter wind and all the snow buildup, we're worried that we need to shore up those walls, and we can't do that until we get the debris out. And right now we have, the roof debris sitting on top of all the seats, and a big portion of it is hanging over the balcony. So our project is threefold. We have to get the debris out with a crane and contractors to come in. They have to cut up the roof and the trusses that are in there in order to put them in a crane and put them outside into a dumpster. So they have to cut everything inside, put the crane, take it out, put it in a dumpster, and that's the first portion. The second portion then is shoring up the walls, putting some apparatus that on outside and inside to keep the walls sturdy for the winter so the wind doesn't blow them down or any bricks. And then we have to make sure the bricks on top that are there stay put, so we have to put a covering over the whole wall of the brick top. And that is the safety portion of it, because the city wants us to make sure that it's safe, that no debris is going to fall on anyone walking downtown or coming out of Tino's in the back. And then the third portion is our stage house and the lobby area. We want to keep the winter weather out of that. So we have to put up a wall covering the stage house so no winter weather gets into there, and take the historical pieces out that we can from the balcony and cover up the doorways and the doorway going into the lobby so that no winter weather comes into there. We're not too worried about the actual floor of the auditorium because it's cement. And the seats that are in there are pretty much crushed from the roof as it is. We did have a plan to put in new seats in March, but because of COVID, we got stopped and couldn't do any work. So once the debris comes out and we take out the seats that are destroyed, that's the start of that project. And then in the spring, we're hoping to get a roof put on. So I'm going to turn it over to Thomas, but before I do, I want to explain who he is if you don't know. A couple of years ago, the city of Negaunee gave us $7,000. The Ishpeming-Negaunee Chamber of Commerce gave us $3,000, and that money was set to hire a theater expert from a theater management company downstate, and he's our project manager now, Thomas Girdham, and he came up, I believe it was about 2.5 years ago, and did super research historical on our building, on most of downtown Negaunee, all of the theaters and entertainment in the area. And his job was to put together a business plan for us going forward and work with a local architect to renovate the theater and our annex building to make it a fully functioning modern theater. And he was in the final stages of that project. And we hadn't had time to even roll it out to the public yet to show everybody what was going on. We started showing some of the architectural drawings in some of our last shows we did. But a lot of people aren't really aware that was the plan going forward. And then COVID happened and we got stopped up, and then the roof collapsed. So now we need to get a roof on this building and start our renovations so that we can go forward and save this building. And this night is to talk to all of you and get your response and some questions and some comments to let us know that that's what you want us to do. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Thomas, and whatever I didn't cover, please fill him in the rest of it.
All right, thanks, Rusty. Let me just sort of reinforce a couple of things that Rusty said. What is standing is very strong and stable and sturdy. The auditorium walls are still straight. Our concern as we go through winter, though, as some of those gales of November start blowing in, whether they'll stay that way. But for now, they really haven't moved since the collapse and have just been there and standing straight up. The stage house is particularly strong. It was built that way to begin with, to handle all the stage equipment. It has its own separate roof, which was new in 2018 maybe, and it is solid. And actually, except that the proscenium is open, the stage and under the stage and so forth is in pretty good shape. And we did find out a week or so ago that the water we were concerned about flowing down the raked floor and going into the orchestra pit and going into the basement there was really just flowing right on through a drain in the mechanical room. So there's been water through there, obviously, but it's not standing water and it's not piling up anymore. The front was also built differently than the auditorium. You've got 2-3 floors, so you've got other steel and support in there holding that up. And the roof is different over that section. The roof over the front and the auditorium itself was put on in 2004. It still had 10 years left on its warranty. And actually, if you look at some of the drone shots, the roofing material, except where it's been ripped apart, was in very good shape. And it indeed held something like 20,000 pounds of water. So it was a real good roof. Which is a good time to say that that's the same roof that was put on the annex last summer, last fall, actually, I think when they finished. That company, the Duralast people, actually right now they're putting a roof on the Temple Theater in Saginaw, but they have offered us a considerable, probably 50% discount when we replace the roof in the spring. And our roofing contractor, Northern Awning, has offered to do the same thing with their labor costs. So when we actually get to the roof, we will not be spending as much as we would normally. In terms of the debris, it's a mess. It's a problem. What happened? The drain that failed, or not failed, that clogged. But it failed, we just have the water in the place, it wouldn't be the problem. That clogged and allowed all the water to collect was on the northwest side of the auditorium area. The roof there is steel trusses supported on columns inside the walls. And as that 20,000 pounds of water built up on the west side of what is an arched roof, if you look at the front of the theater behind Rusty, the little arch over his head there is basically the way the roof was done. It was a barrel kind of roof, and so you had these 2 troughs down the side, and the one on the west filled with water. And the collapse started at that northwest corner, pulled the trusses off their columns, and then it went back, I think, 5 trusses. And the 5th truss is just over the front of the balcony, because when you get to, if you remember the upstairs, there's a cross aisle after the first 4 or 5 rows in the balcony. And that's actually about the spot where a different roof design sort of starts in. And so it got to that point and stopped. The problem for the debris removal is that the last truss, even though it's resting on the balcony on the west side, on the east side, it is hanging by literally a bolt. And that's the danger and the worry and the problems the construction crews are facing right now as to how to deal with that, um, to secure that so it's safe enough for their people to be in there working, is what has to be done. And then our architect, Richard Duran, has laid out a shoring system for us so that the walls can withstand uh, heavy heavy gales through the winter. Uh, it's both internal and external. Um, and I can't remember the name of them. Um, it's a stock unit. It supports the wall, has a part coming down, so they'll be putting in some footings to hold those up. To the west, we own that property, and there's room behind the building that we can mostly secure from the outside. On the east side wall, though, there's not enough space behind Tino's to do that. So there's a series of guy wires and internal supports to make that happen. But it will be safe and strong when they do it. The problem is, though, because a lot of the supports, footings need to be inside the building, that the debris field has to be cleared to get those in. And you can't just put them any place, because under the floor, it is just concrete. There's no basement, but there are air vent tunnels, and those are not as strong as the floor. So the footings have to go where there's not an air vent. So you pretty well got to clear most of the floor. We were hoping we could just maybe get a few things out of there, because there's not much to salvage anyway. We also talked about maybe supporting the balcony from underneath, so that if that ceiling panel did fall, it wouldn't cause structural damage. But again, we had the same problem with the debris. So we're back to our original plan, which is to get a crane in, get that piece of ceiling secured to the crane, and then cut it apart and get it out of there. And then once that happens, it's just a matter of clearing the mess, and the workers won't be as endangered as they would be early on. So I guess I should say one other thing about this. I like to think of this problem as being fixing things we were going to fix anyway. We have lost our HVAC system because most of the air handling was on the roof that collapsed. We've lost a lot of our electric, because the electric came in from the front of the building and later from the back of the building, and was run from front to back and back to front through the attic. That's obviously all down on the ground now. But in the rehabilitation plans, we were going to have to replace the electric and the HVAC anyway. So it's not like we're having to replace something that wasn't already in need of being fixed. As Rusty already mentioned, the seats, we were actually going to have those in this fall. That's a little bit of a problem. But it's not the end of the world here. The building is strong and solid. It was built at the time where they just really did very good work. It's got good foundations. The brickwork was very well done. It'll stand, and we just have to get a roof back over it, and then finish the work we'd already planned on the inside to bring everything up to speed for modern theatrical use. So, Rusty, is that enough? You want me to talk about the annex at all?
Yeah, sure. Talk about the annex and some of the plans that we were going to go forward with, so they know some of the plan.
The annex is really the field building. It was originally built in the no later than the 1880s, maybe even before that, by Mr. Field. It burned. Where the Vista sits was a livery that goes back actually to 1860s, and the livery burned in 1898, and it was a livery. It was full of hay. They got all the horses out, but lots of hay burned. It burned real good. and it took the field building with it. They left the Vista lot empty, except I think there was a Pabst beer billboard on it because Pabst Brewing Company ended up owning the land. But Mr. Field rebuilt, and that building you see there now was his home. He lived on the second floor, and he operated a saloon and a tax or horse tack, a TACK, not TAX, shop on the first floor. And it's been there since 1899. It's only had two owners, Mr. Field and the people who bought it in 1925. And then we purchased it sometime in 1980 something. And we've used it for different things. Right now, all the electric and gas is shut off. It has the new roof that I mentioned. We had some problems with the rear wall because water was seeping down because it was the land was slanted down to it. So we had to replace the rear wall. So that's a new wall. It's a temporary wall because we had intended to expand that building out to the north with a sort of a three-story addition, actually two-story with a basement. In the front of the building, the old part, the two shops at the street side were going to be merged into one gathering space and a new lobby space for the theater, connected with a ramp down into the theater for better handicapped access. And then behind that, what was an office and a big series of ramps and an elevator to take us to all the floors. Handicapped restrooms would be in the new addition on the first floor. Also on the first floor would be what we call a maker's room. It's basically an art studio for classes and for artists to actually use to do their art if they don't have their own studios. The front for the lobby could also be used as a classroom and for meetings and so forth. And then on the second floor, above the studio, the art studio, was a dance studio that was as large as the Vista stage, so that we could rehearse theater works there and not tie up the stage for long periods of time for that. And there was another classroom up there. In the front of the building on the second floor, the two apartments would be redone and rented as Airbnbs because it's better than having to deal with a monthly rental, especially with the rental rates in downtown. We figured we could probably make more money during Pioneer Week than we could in a whole year of regular rentals. And then the basement level, the front building has a basement. It has a concrete floor. It's going to be storage for theatrical equipment. And then behind that, a large costume shop, chorus dressing room combined, new restrooms for cast and crew. And then those rooms would connect to the existing dressing rooms under the stage with a new tunnel, actually a hallway. I mean, I shouldn't call it a tunnel, but it is underground. And so we'll have much more room under stage and backstage. We'll be rearranging the dressing rooms a little bit to make them a little larger. And we'll just have a better shot at things. All of this involved new ADA stuff too. There was going to be a lift to get people up to the stage from the floor of the auditorium, so that performers and whoever else needed to be up there, it was accessible to them. The auditorium was to be fully accessible with the elevator access if need be, but also the ramp in from the front. And then in the seating area, and this, like I say, should have been done this fall, we're going to platform in the back underneath the balcony. So there'd be table and chair seating there. Then the audio controls, the soundboard, would be in front of that, set down in, so there'd be visibility over them. And it's a much better location to be out from under the balcony and be a better place to control sound.
And
And
like,
then, yeah, and then eventually we were going to, uh, expand the projection booth to make a full control room across the top of the back of that's the third floor, I guess, to look like, up there. So, and restore all the balcony seating. Um, so a good plan, still a very doable plan, because really all that we're adding is the demo and the new roof. So the rest of it is still pretty much the plan. And it's, as I said before, at this point we have probably the most perfect COVID auditorium because it's both indoor and outdoor seating, and we're good to go.
and with that plan, this whole plan really is the first half of the building's existence. It was a movie theater. The second half, it was a live theater. And we want to expand that projection room and have movies brought back to the Vista Theater so that when we have that rehearsal space upstairs next door in the annex, we can rehearse a show. And during that time, we can still have movies, we can have other groups coming in doing shows and still be making money for the theater. And plus, we can have things 6 nights a week, every week, going on at the Vista to draw people to downtown. And that's really the goal, is to bring back the economy for downtown, bring people downtown. Because when people are gathering to go to a show, they're going to go eat. They're going to go to the bars. And we wanted to expand the concession area and have a liquor license, kind of like the Elks Club, that kind of thing, where you pay for membership and you can come in and have a couple of drinks, not to compete with the bars, but to have people get a couple of drinks before a show. And then afterwards they go out to the bars. So it helps the economy. So we help them, they help us. And it just helps the whole economy. We can take care of and pay for ourselves. Where was I going? So many places to go with this. It's a great plan, and that's what we want to do, and that's what we were planning on doing. So we have to find a way to make that happen. We were going to be able to do it in different phases and still do shows. This year we actually had a whole season constructed and dates and ready to go, and COVID stopped us during our second show, and then COVID brought down the house and now we have to start over again. So we've been really lucky with the people that have been helping with our fundraising. We have a GoFundMe page going right now, and we are a little over 43,000, and that's in less than 6 weeks. So we've really done a good job with that. The preparation for the building is going to take about $100,000 to make the preparation before we even start a roof, and we're almost halfway there. So we really appreciate everybody's help. We need more. I mean, this night wasn't really to ask people for more money, but just to let you know we are going to need it, and we need people's help. We need not in fixing the building or anything. We're having professionals that are licensed and insured for that, but we need people, accountants, doctors, lawyers, business people in the community. We need to make sure that we have everyone's support to do this. We know people love this building. We know they have a great emotional tie to it with a big history, and we want that history to continue. In 1973, when the Peninsula Arts Appreciation Council was first put together, it was put together with the intent of the community coming together and learning visual arts, performing arts, being able to show off some of the stuff that they've created and share it with the community, kids to come in and learn how to do things. And that's kind of our plan with this new restoration of the building. We want to protect the history. We want it to look historical, but be technologically up to date so we can do things. It's kind of like reimagining what they first did. We want to have classrooms. We want to have acting lessons, singing lessons, dancing lessons, painting lessons. That front room could not only be a meeting space and a lobby, but it could be kind of an art gallery. So if people have projects, they can show off their stuff. People come to the show, and they can see some of the art projects that the people in Nagani have been doing. So this really is a community effort, a building for the community to come and participate. And that's what we really want. So we need to get the word out. We're trying to work on some grants right now. Once we get this preparation done for the building, then we're going to work on some grants for some bigger number money coming in, hopefully for the roof. We have a grant that we're working on that was supposed to help us with the wiring. So hopefully if that can still go through next summer, if we can have a roof going up or up, we can start getting that money hopefully to get the wiring started and work on the HVAC system like Thomas talked about, because we want it for both buildings. We want heat for both buildings and air conditioning for both buildings and have it a year-round place that is used by everyone. So
I do have one other thing, Rusty, that which I forgot to mention. The timing issue here, besides when winter is coming, which is not news to anybody, but the contractors are talking needing 4 to 5 weeks to get things done, and we're there right now. I mean, if they start this week and they take 4 to 5 weeks, we're basically at Thanksgiving, and I don't know, but my experience up there is it's pretty ugly weather by Thanksgiving. So that's the problem with the timing here. The debris situation is, I don't think the actual enclosure of the balcony area and the stage area are going to take that much time. The laying of the footings and the erecting the shoring probably is going to take a little more time than that. I mean, the stage is fairly simple to. They just have to fill in the proscenium, which is pretty straight ahead. But the cleaning the debris, getting it out there, having to lift the pieces with a crane, once they get the big pieces out, then they'll be able to cut stuff up and load baskets and get the process working a little more simply. But it's just a lot to dig through, and they have to be careful to find, and there are some historic elements left in there. We've seen from photos that we need to try and salvage and pull out of there. So it's not like they can just go in and put a giant claw in there and pick it up and throw it in the dumpster.
Rusty, so question. Since fundraising has gotten close to 50,000, which is approximately half the goal, is there anything that can get started, any portion of the project? And if not, why not, since the time limit is getting so close?
well, that's the thing is the whole project right now is supposed to be around $100,000, and initially the company said they wanted to see a guarantee of all the money there before they started. So that's what we're trying to work out with them, that if we can maybe take out that covering part at the end from the invoice and say the first 2 projects, give us a price for that. And we're getting pretty close to being able to pay for that. So we're trying to work that out with them. They just went in, I believe, yesterday to get another look at the debris. And of course, when they saw it, they said they needed to go back and reevaluate and figure things out. So that's the whole timing thing, is we're trying to figure out with them what it's going to take and when they can get started. So again, we don't have an answer yet, but we're working on that. We're trying to give them other options. We're trying to look some other areas to see if we can get a loan or a guarantee somewhere of a certain amount of money so we can come closer to that total amount, so they feel more comfortable getting started, know they're going to get paid. Even though the fundraising has been going very well, extremely well for 6 weeks time or less, they can't use fundraising as an income. It doesn't work that way with a loan. So we're trying to get creative with some of the ways we're doing things, but we're still on it. It's not a disaster yet. So we're still working on it, but as Thomas said, it's the timing. And with winter, we've got to get as much done as we can. If they can get that debris out and start getting that shoring up, even if some weather comes, we can get those coverings done, even if the weather starts to come in. But it's getting that floor cleared and getting the debris out and putting up the shoring for the walls. And that's the main thing for the safety issue, because the city needs it by a certain amount of time to be in compliance with that. So again, I'm sorry, I don't have a concrete answer, but we are still working on it every day. And as of yesterday, they went in and looked at it. So hopefully we get a response back tomorrow as what they decided. I think they're warming to the idea of getting started, knowing that they have to do it by a certain amount of time, because I don't think they want to do it in the winter weather either. So,
Rusty, we had another question come in.
Yeah.
Since the theater is a historical building, have we sought federal grants or loans for preserving historical sites?
Yes, we have. And there's several issues with it. I mean, we've been in touch with the State Historic Preservation Office since it happened. And we're regularly exchanging notes about salvaging this and saving that and doing whatever. They do not have funds per se, that agency. The agency that does, which they're part of, is the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, MEDC. Again, timing is sort of against us here. And our original plan had been to work with the MEDC and possibly the Ag Department, which also has some rural grants, to do the entire project. But since March, MEDC has been trying to prop up communities all around the state with the COVID shutdowns. And so their funding focus right now is trying to keep businesses open, trying to do this, and you know, just doing a building per se isn't in their sights right now, and it's probably going to be a while before they're back to that kind of work. Nationally, we've got sort of the same issues. The National Park Service, which runs our National Register listing, they actually have a grant program called Save Our Treasures, but it's limited to National Register properties that are nationally significant. And ours is only considered to be locally significant, so we're not eligible for that grant. We are eligible for some other grants, though. The Michigan Agricultural Department funds some things that we could possibly qualify for. There's some other foundations that we would qualify for. The problem is the timing. Most of them are at the end of their current grant year, which means all of the grants they're giving now were approved last winter. So we can go to them now, which we need to do over the next couple months, but we're not going to get decisions or money from them until spring at the earliest. And
right. And most of the places have their, like you said, the funding for this year is already kind of set for what they're going to do. And some of the places we've talked to, we want to get in for 21 for putting the roof on. But right now we're just trying to get the money to get the building prepared.
Okay, so before we move on to the next topic, which I believe is discussing fundraising and where we're at with that, there is one more question. How have Jack Bergman and Bo Lefebvre office been helping?
Well, Bo Lefebvre is not really our representative. He's in a different district. But Lisa has written to, who has she written to? Lisa, can you tell me who you've written to?
There we go. I wrote to Sarah. I'm Lisa Bowers. I'm the secretary of the board, and I wrote to Sarah Cambenzi, Jack Bergman, Ed McBroom, Debbie Stabenow,
Yeah.
and Gary Peters. The only response I received back was from Sarah Cambenzi, and she said that the state money was fairly short, which we already know, but she did say that she would, if we put in any grants for anywhere, that she would be more than happy to write a letter of support for those.
We did have
I
one
can see-
more question pop in. Has there been any thought given to approaching movie stage industry institutions or individuals to see if they might be interested in helping out financially? And is there any option for insurance to help with be available to purchase for a future catastrophe?
I can talk about the insurance.
Okay.
We had liability insurance. We tried to get property insurance, and we couldn't get a policy written because of the age of the building. The underwriters had some issues with our electric system because of its age. And so we could not get property insurance. We certainly have the liability insurance, and but we can't do anything otherwise. In fact, I think even if they were willing to underwrite anything, it wasn't anywhere near replacement. So we'd pretty much be in the same boat we're in right now.
So I apologize that I was not clear. So the question is, if the building is fixed to code, will it be able to be
if it's fixed to
insured
code, yeah,
to
yeah,
be
yeah. If it's a
insured
code,
for the future?
yeah. If it makes code and everything is up to normal, yeah, we can insure it.
And that was the plan too, with the grant to help us with the wiring. That was why we were doing that, because we wanted to upgrade the wiring so that it was to code, and that as soon as it was, then we could get real insurance. But of course, that now we can't do that till we get a roof. So, and about the movie stage industry and institutions, I haven't tried with institutions. We have kind of looked into some individuals. There are some stars that do funding and helping with restoration for old theaters. So I'm working on putting together a letter to go out to some of those folks. One of them, John Hamm, does a lot of work with some old theaters. A group that he works with, some of the other names that are listed there is like Lady Gaga and Elton John. So I'm trying to put together something, because you really have to have a good letter that expresses everything, what we've been planning, what we're going through. And I want to get that put together and sent to them. I was kind of hoping to do that for the roof and going forward. I was kind of hoping we could get this part. We're pretty close on our own, and with the local community coming together. And then in the next 6 months, while we're waiting through winter, I was going to try to contact those folks and see if they had any friends that wanted to help. Because if they could get 3 or 4 friends to donate a little bit, we'd be all good.
There is one thing I'm trying to look into. When all the movie theaters were closed around the country, some of the smaller distributors that were more involved in the art houses put together a program of virtual cinema. And so that they're offering actually first run films each week, new films. And you pay for them like you would a normal theater ticket, but you do it online. You purchase your ticket, and you're allowed access to that film for a few days. I can't remember exactly how it works. It's different with each distributor. But we could actually become a movie theater again faster than we could with the rebuilding if we can put some of these programs together. I think there's 5 or 6 distributors that are doing this. Kino Lorber is one of them. And what they're doing is they're basically splitting the ticket revenue then with the theater. So if we were to present a film and 10 people bought a $10 ticket, we'd get $50 out of it roughly. Like I said, it's a little different with each distributor, but that's how it works. And they're interesting films. They're the kind of things you see at Film Forum in New York. Um, the, uh, the Michigan Theater down in Ann Arbor. Um, who else is doing it? I think they're doing it at the State Theater. Well, no, the State's open again in Traverse City. But I know who's doing it. The theater in Manistee was doing it for a while, the Vogue. But they've been allowed to reopen. So it's a possibility. The only thing against it is that we weren't showing films at the time of the closure, but we certainly have a history of it, and can hopefully use that to maybe set that up. And it's something that it sort of works automatically. You just have to post the current week's films, and everyone who's interested buys their own ticket, logs on themselves, and watches it at their leisure.
I see a question here of, are there going to be any more volunteer productions like we're doing with Who's on First? Most likely there will be. We're just kind of testing the waters right now, doing some recordings, getting them produced and seeing how they turn out. And if we get good response for it, yes, we can try to see if we can use that for some fundraising. We are doing Frankenstein right now. It's almost finished, putting that together. And one of the people in it that's playing Dr. Frankenstein is Tom Leighton. He is a phenomenal artist, and he drew a portrait of his version of Frankenstein. And so he's working on getting those printed, and we're going to try to sell those as part of our fundraising. So any little bit that we can do helps. Some of the fundraising right now, we have, you probably all know that we have a can drive going on right now. We've been doing it for about a week and a half. We have up until this weekend, this Friday from 2 until 7 at Super One in Negaunee. We're having a drop-off point this Sunday from noon until 5 at Super One in Marquette. And we have tons and tons of cans. So we could use some volunteers at those things. But what we really need is next week is the sorting party. And we've got it set, I believe, next Monday through Friday at the Annex building where we have most of our cans. So most of the Annex is filled right now. The whole downstairs is filled with bags and bags of cans. And we're going to need help going through them. And we're going to try to be pretty organized. We have to separate them by distributor. Some of them have to go back to stores. Most of them can go through a distributor and get a check right from them. But what we need is volunteers. We need people to, and there will be volunteer sheets going up on Facebook, so you can volunteer for the times you want.
And Rusty, where on Facebook can we find those sign-up sheets so folks can volunteer and sign up?
Our main historic Vista Theater page, our Friends of the Vista Theater page. I believe we have a fundraising page. If you look up Vista Theater on there, it'll be on all of them. And there's a electronic sign up where you can you can look and see the times you want and sign up to help. And we're going to have a point person. Usually it's one of our board members as a point person there to be the one in charge. What do I do next? How do I do it? And they're going to have a list of things so we can try to do it the same every single night. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel every night. Because we need to get them going. We need to get them going and get them out of here. Because once we get this weekend's worth, we're going to be up to our eyeballs. We're already to our eyeballs. We're going to be probably on the second floor pretty soon. So we need help.
After the can drive, which thank you to the community has been incredibly successful, what are our future goals and plans for fundraising?
I don't have them right in front of me, but we do have 2 or 3 other projects we're working on. We didn't want to do too many at once. We're going to try to keep the focus to everybody. Every week we're going to have something new going on. As soon as we finish up with this can drive, we will already have something else in place. We are working on with I believe it's Negaunee High School is putting together, they've got a t-shirt designed and it's now online, so you can actually order t-shirts. And I believe it's called Raise the Roof, and it's got our logo on it. We'll start promoting that more because that just started, I think, yesterday. Gosh, there's just a ton of stuff that we're working on, but we just didn't want to do too many things all at once. We're working with 1 or 2 of the TV stations in the area to do
Speaking of TV stations, WJMN would like you to repeat the dates and times again for sorting cans that you're looking for volunteers.
Okay, the sorting is going to be next week. Right now, it's Monday through Friday at the Annex Building next to the Vista Theater from 6. It's either 6 until 8 or 6 until 8:30. We're going to have we have no power there, so we have a generator that we're going to have outside and lights, work lights to work. We're going to try to work out the back of the building if we can. Right now, with all the rain, it's been pretty muddy and gross, so we might actually be up on the street, Jackson Street behind. If that gets too much with the mud, we may have to try to do it on Iron Street, but we may have to ask the city if that's okay. I'd love to see people bring tables with them to volunteer and up and down Iron Street have a big sorting party. So, but I don't know if we're allowed to do that, so we have to find out. But we're definitely going to do Monday through Friday for either 6 to 8 or 6 to 8:30. So people can come and show up and volunteer. If you want to sign up, you can sign up too. Those will be on, I think tomorrow they're going to start putting them online because we just got all the point people, I think, set for the week. And we wanted to get that in place first.
Thank you. So I believe one of your board members, Elisa, has a little bit of information about some of the other fundraisers that are going on. Elisa, can you unmute yourself and jump in?
Hi, sure. Yeah. So a couple of the other ideas that the board members have all been working very hard at are some t-shirt sales, like Rusty said. We've got that mask sale going on with Beth Milner Jewelry still. We're looking into doing some telethons and online events. There's just lots of ideas floating around right now that the biggest thing I think that we need help with is more hands on deck to actually make these events come to life. I mean, we have a board of about 10 people and there's only so much we can do. Most of us work full time, and if anybody wants to help with any of these fundraisers, wants to kickstart any other fundraisers, we are definitely looking for anybody to jump in and help us.
And the reason we want everyone to jump in too, because this is for everybody. We are doing this for the community. We want people to use this building as part of the community. We want to thank everybody that's helped us so far. You've come through with so much money and volunteering and so many good thoughts to us. And we know this building is important to you. It's important to us too. And we want to let you know that we understand we aren't doing this by ourselves. We are doing this with everybody's help. And you've come through greatly so far. We need you. Don't leave us. Come back. If you've given all you can, that's great. Come and volunteer some time if you can. If you know anybody that would like to help us, if they've got money, great. If they've got time, please come and help us. We're going to try to keep the word out with everybody. Lisa talked about, we're talking about a virtual telethon with 1 or more stations. Not like the Jerry Lewis telethon where it's all day, all night, but some kind of constant thing where we might have some production pieces of stuff we've done over the years, maybe some live pieces, some recorded pieces, just to get it on, maybe on the scroll on the bottom, just to remind people. I mean, we don't want to overrun people, but we want to keep it in the public and keep it so people remember us. And because if you stop, they go on to the next thing. And we just want to try to keep everybody's attention, knowing that we're still working on it. We're still trying everything we can. But we'll take suggestions too. If anybody has any ideas, if you've got, a great idea, if you know a fundraising group, if you know a grant place, if you know anything, come join us. Be part of a committee. We'll take people's suggestions because honestly, our board has over 100 years of theatrical experience. But we need some practical experience too. I mean, we can put on a heck of a show, but we need the bones. We need the place to do it. We need the set. We need the stage. We need the lights. We need everything. And we need everybody's help to put those things together. And even if you don't think you know how to do those things, I bet you've got a skill set that can help do some stuff.
Thank you, Rusty. So I will put the Vista email in the chat so that anybody can email the Vista any of those suggestions. Moving on to our next topic, which I believe is next steps. We did have a question come in that says that you stated a deadline with the city of Negaunee. When is that deadline? What happens then? And what is PAC's plan if the deadline is missed?
Well, legally, they had to tell us that to stay in compliance, we had to try to fix the safety factor for the building. They've given us a deadline of November 20th. There were no consequences listed on there at the time because I think they're trying to work with us, and it's not a threat that we have to do this or the building goes away. But legally, they had to state for the safety of the city that they need to know that we're working on getting it done by that time or close to that time. So there really hasn't been, an ultimatum or you have to have it by this time, otherwise this is going to happen, because we didn't get any of that. But they had to tell us legally that you need to be pretty far along or showing that we're going to be pretty close to that time. And that's about the time it really has to be, because otherwise, who knows? Blizzards come and then who knows what happens. So we really need to, it's not a dire situation yet, but it could get there. So that's the answer I got, because the letter just gave us the date, and that for legal reasons they had to tell us that, but there were no consequences yet. But we're not going to try that. I mean, we want to get it done and show that we're really trying to get it by a certain time. So.
Thank you, Rusty. So what are the next steps? Where are we at?
Well, I did kind of say what we need from the community. We need your help. We need your suggestions. We need your ideas. Again, if you know people, if you could share all across the country. We were contacted by the Detroit Free Press, and they want to do a story on us. So they are coming here late next week to spend the weekend and talk to us and get the story, because they said that UP stories in the Detroit Free Press get big hits. People like to read about them. They're interested in them. And my goal, my hope is the owners of the Detroit Free Press is USA Today. If they like the story, it could go national. If we could get national attention, I think we could get donations from all around the country. I really want to get it out there. I'd love to get it on a national TV show. I'd love to get it on CBS This Morning or the Today Show or something. So that's another couple of things. I have somebody I know that works at the Today Show. I've contacted them before, and when we visited New York, we actually got on the Today Show doing one of those little snippets. And so who knows, maybe if I can contact her, maybe I can get a word through to one of them, tell them the story. If they find it interesting, maybe they do a story, maybe they'd come up here and film. So I don't know, there's all kinds of things. Again, this isn't something that we know how to do. We're just learning as we do it. This was not in my Acting 1 class. So this is just learning how to save a building.
Wonderful. So thank you everyone for all of your suggestions and participation on this call, as well as joining us for this call. And I believe we're getting ready to wrap up here. Rusty, do you have any final comments?
Well, Jamie said he wanted to talk about some things, so we can take some public comment. If anybody wants to talk, we can give like 2 minutes. If you want to say something, I don't know that it's not really a conversation, but if anybody would like to give a comment or a suggestion or say something, if you want to do it later, you can contact us through email. We're just trying really hard. And does anybody want to say anything or comment? You can unmute yourself, and we can, or tell us on the chat if you want to talk, and then we'll call on you, and then you can unmute yourself.
Rusty?
Yep.
Yes, Thomas. I should just clarify one thing about the city. The city has explored the cost of tearing the entire building down. They need to do that. It would be hopefully a last resort for them, but they know what it would cost to tear down the whole thing. And if it becomes a public safety issue, they would have to do it. On the other hand, the city, spent a lot of money to get the Kirkwood building down. They really don't want to spend money on our building, and they really don't want the theater to go away. It's a central part of their downtown and their hopes for the future of the downtown. So, but we should not just ignore the fact that
Right.
if push comes to shove here, it could totally go away.
Yeah, there is no miracle cure with the city. And like he said, if it becomes a safety issue, they have no choice. They have to tell us it's condemned right now. There's no occupancy. And if we don't have it by a certain time and it becomes a safety issue, they'll have to take it down. And they don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. So again, any help that we can get, any ideas that you think we can help us get it to the point at least now so we can save and prepare the building for winter. And then the work really begins. We have to put a roof on. We've got to get the electrical. We've got to get the heating system. That's going to be another year. So we're probably not going to do anything in the building even for, we'll work on it, but not really use it for probably a year or two, because it's going to take a long time to get all those things done. So yeah, if anybody would like to speak or do public comment, tell us in the chat and then we'll call on you. We'll give you that opportunity right now. Any board members like to say anything either? Otherwise, we're going to adjourn and keep working. Going once? Oh, Bill? Is that Bill? Bill, you're muted. There, I got you. Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, have we reached outside the artistic community for help? For instance, someone like Ted Nugent or Kid Rock, or people whose normal focus would not be within the theater community, but whose focus might be centered around interest in the E or UP activities.
As well as Ellen and Oprah was a question as well included in that.
Yeah, not yet, but I'd love to. I don't have a contact for them right now. Like I said, we were looking at, I think it was before you got on, Bill, that we're looking at a couple of different artists that we know work with community theaters. But I loved your suggestion, and yeah, any Michigan-based artists, if anybody has a contact or can get close to them, let me know. I can research it and look too, but if anybody has any inside, knowing someone who knows somebody, that is the best way.
So Jamie Peterson has a couple of questions. You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi guys. Again, congratulations for everything you guys have done so far. I'm so proud of your diligence and drive, and I can't wait to get involved in one aspect or another. It sounds like, our timelines are as fast as they possibly can be. And I did miss a portion of the meeting. I apologize, but has anyone had a chance to reach out, for instance, to like Scandia Trust or a local engineer, so that once we have the funding to shore up the building for the winter, we can move on it very quickly?
Oh yes, we are working with contractors right now. We do have a couple of them that we've worked with. We've had two different estimates. We're working with the one that has the better price right now, but we are working with people already. The rest of a lot of the other people were really busy. So many contractors are busy and behind from COVID that's why we can't even do a roof, because there's so many people that can't do stuff. But we are working with professional contractors right now that have gone in and looked, and we've gotten estimates from them, and they're just trying to figure out the logistics of what it will take to get this debris out in a timely fashion so that we can get the shoring up done. And the people we're working with already have the shoring mechanisms to put up. It's just the logistics of getting the debris out, because we have to have welders in there cutting the pieces so that they can take it out with the crane and put it in the dumpsters. So yeah, no, we're not going blind. With nobody in place. We have people we're working with, and it's just a matter of getting the funding in place, getting their timeline in place, and getting them started as quick as we can.
I'd also be interested to get in touch with whoever is working with your virtual, Frankenstein, was it? You're planning on a performance?
We're doing a recording, so it's a recording of or uncopyrighted. It's old enough that it's public use, so we're allowed to use it.
Okay. And we have a number of other theaters throughout the state of Michigan that have experienced similar tragedies. And I would be so happy to get you guys in touch with some of those folks, and so you don't have to constantly reinvent the wheel of the recovery efforts.
Well,
So
we'd appreciate that. I also reached out to the League of Historic Theaters in Maryland, and they said the same thing. They weren't like a grant organization, but they gave us some suggestions of fundraising things, places in our area to contact. Most of them we already have contacted, but we'll take any suggestions that come out. We're happy to listen to you.
thank you so much. Again, so proud of everything you guys have done. I can't wait to help out.
Thanks, Jamie. All right. If no one else, anybody on the board have anything to say? Nope. We talk a lot. But just know that we are working on this every day. We have tons of people working on this. Well, not tons, but we have our volunteers, our core volunteers. We could always use more, but we have people working on this project every day. Just know that we're still working on it, and any help we can take, we'll take. So thank you everyone for coming. Stay tuned. There's going to be more coming on TV and radio and things coming down the line. And if we feel we need another one of these meetings when we have new information, we'll come with you to that. But thank you all for coming, and good night, and may the show go on.
And if you have any suggestions that you think of, please email them to naganivista@gmail.com.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye. Thank you guys.
Bye, thank you.